So I watched the first 10 episodes of Royal Sentai King-Ohger. I'm Rune with Nerd Culture News, bringing you facts about fiction. Royal Sentai King-Ohger is the newest Super Sentai series. What is Super Sentai? Well, it's Power Rangers, but the Japanese version. They make it, we rip it off. It's how things have went since the 90s. This particular season has a king/bug theme. Haven't seen that before, and I'm actually really enjoying it so far. So this one is based in, I believe the land is called Terra, where 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, I'm not always the best on remembering these things, a Bugnarok, I guess Bugnarok came and was defeated by King-Ohger, which is their giant Megazord. Well, who has the power for the core of that Megazord? Well, that is the king that is trying to rule over all the other kingdoms. You see, each of the kingdoms in this, which there are 5 that we know of currently, is represented by a different king or queen that basically has their own Megazord and Power Ranger powers to go with. Well, the main one that you would think is the Red Ranger, he's basically saying either you're under me or you're not getting the core that you need to make King-Ohger. That's Recules. I'm going to call him Recules because I don't know the Japanese pronunciation for it. He is the guy that is holding that power over them, but here comes random Aladdin guy, Gira. Gira, basically, we see him at the first of this, helping some people out that are dealing with the corrupt government, and then he sees all this stuff going on, and he's like, well, why isn't our king doing anything? So he just marches right in, and it's basically like, hey, are you gonna do something about this? Where the king is like, no, because this means that I'm gonna have more power if I let them suffer for a little bit. So here comes Gira being like, that's not how being a king works. Takes his sword, goes out, and they're like, well, you can't go and activate that power. You're not a king. And he's like, excuse me, goes and activates it, which is a sword, by the way. They get sword morphers this season. I love a sword morpher. Goes and activates it. He gets the Red Ranger powers, is able to summon up King-Ohger and basically save the day. Why? Well, because it turns out he's the brother of the king. Yeah, apparently the king just like got rid of him when he was a child, and from what we know, Gira had no clue. So he has a right to the throne, and apparently, you know, that means he can activate those powers, and I'm loving it because he basically goes up to his brother and is like, look, if you're what's supposed to be a representative of what is a just king, then I'm going to be a tyrant king, because if it's the opposite view, it must be better than what you're doing right now. So he goes on this facade of, ha ha ha, I am the tyrant king, and constantly goes off with his vibrato, and I'm loving it. It's super cheesy. It's Sentai. What do you expect? So from here, I'm basically going to tell you a little bit about each of the new Rangers. You have Yanma. He's first up. He's the Blue Ranger. Well, Yanma, he's stuck in the 90s and thinks that everything can be solved by like hacking. Like, it really feels like that 90s movie Hackers that had Angelina Jolie in it. It's cheesy, it's funny. He calls everyone a slack-jawed tanuki, so I'm gonna start calling people that. He's gonna be our, you know, oh, well, I'm too cool for school kind of to himself character, but you know, he's entertaining enough, and he is the first that kind of like signs up for this new Power Ranger group that's gonna overthrow the king and stop Bugnarok, so I'm here for him. Cool guys so far. We also got Kagaraki. He is our Black Ranger. He is much more upbeat, but he always seems like he's up to something. You don't know whose side he is on, because he is on Recules' side 1 minute, and then Gira's 1 second, and you never know what he's doing, but he always seems like he has a little bit more knowledge than what he's willing to give up. But for the most part, he seems like a nice guy. He is all about a kingdom of prosperity. He wants the people to be happy. He seems like a generally nice guy, but he is also going to make sure that he is on the winning side at the end of the day, and you gotta give a little respect to him for that. And he's a little bit older. He seems a few years older than the other Rangers, which is cool. I like it when there's a bit more diversity, because that gives you some more storylines to play with, since the Rangers could be in different eras of their lives. Now we get to talk about my favorite character so far, Himino. She is the Yellow Ranger. She is an awesome queen that deals mostly in medical, and she deserves the world, and she's going to tell you that she deserves it as well. She's the type of character that's going to show up in a beautiful gown, and then just hold her sword up to you and ask you to make a move. She has so much spice to her, and I love it. I like that she has this medical side to her that comes forward and adds some more depth to the character. And I like the fact that, you know, even though she seems to come off as super greedy at first, they're rounding out the character to give her more depth as it is going along. And as for the character a lot of people are going on about, it's Rita. Rita is also very awesome. We have 2 amazing female rangers this season. She is the Violet Ranger, and she's all about law and order and going by the rules. But then she also has this side to her where she sneaks off to her room and has this giant like stuffed animal that she does a voice for, and her assistant comes in sometimes and also does the voice for her. It's super cute for the character that looks like she's straight up from like a Final Fantasy. Like the first shot you see of her coming in, she's got like the sword on her back, like, you know, you have like the coat that's up around her mouth. She's a really cool character, and I love that they added this kind of goofier side to her as well. So the first few episodes is kind of just establishing thing, but it's also about Gira going and gathering each of the other kings/queens so that he'll actually have a group, but then he has to go and challenge his brother, who, you know, basically, even though Gira has the sword, that's kind of threw me off. His brother still has the sword. He's still able to transform, but he has like a grayed out version of the Red Ranger suit, and basically beats his brother to where everyone thinks that his brother is like, everyone thinks that Gira is dead. But no, he's not. He's good to go. He's just in hiding, and I kind of like that. It adds a little bit of like, oh, will they find out about it kind of mystique to it. And we do know that we're about to get the 6th Ranger, which is like a White Ranger with like a spider motif coming up. So I'm hoping that means that he's going to get like training or something. I don't know. But I generally do like the direction things are going. One of the things that I find very interesting is the big baddie of Ragnarok. He really doesn't seem to be the bigger threat right now. Kira's brother, the King, seems to be the biggest threat because, yeah, you can go and defeat like the big bad guys and have this big war, but there's a lot of politics that are going on with Hercules. Like, I'm curious as to how things are going to go. Is he going to be the villain throughout the entire thing? Is Ragnarok going to become more of the like threat that we're seeing? It's kind of cool starting out the series and seeing 2 different forms of evil. One being just like evil for the sake of being evil, and one being a political evil. Is really cool duality that I like the complexity that we're getting for something that's Super Sentai. It's still technically kind of a kid's show. As for the suits, I do love the suits. I mean, it has a little armoring to it, and each of the helmets are very unique. A lot of the times with Super Sentai, you just have a color variant with like a slight different in the visor. Every single one of the visors and helmets in this looks so different than the last that everyone has their own personality to them, which makes a lot of sense in that each of these characters has their own kingdom. It's not like they're all just on top of each other or going to school or anything like that. They have their own kingdoms to worry about, which each of the kingdoms have their own personality to them as well. So I do feel like you're getting a lot more depth in this than you would from a lot of other, particularly Power Ranger seasons, but even Super Sentai to a certain degree. So are you enjoying Royal Sentai King-Ohger so far? Because I know that I am. I do think that it would be fun to review each week, but if I would understand if people in here think that I should just do it every 5 episodes, let me know in the comments what you think. Should it be a weekly thing, or should it be like every 5 episodes I'll do like a catch-up video? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying the videos. Subscribe so I know that you're going to come back and watch more of my videos, and always, always, always make sure that you have yourself a beautiful day.